Welcome back to Straight Talk and our pseudo year-in review here on
Straight Talk.
Straight Talk, I was going to say, but I already said welcome to Straight Talk. Okay, so we're just going to continue relatively quickly. We're going to run through a few things. One of the names that kept coming up was Jessie Dare.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was the first time that I think all of the local media had worked together and came up with the Memorial Scholarship. And we had Jessica, who's actually one of our co-hosts here on Straight Talk, as well as the team program. She actually won it.
Yeah, she did. You know, it was. I guess there was a few people who had put their applications in. I don't know what process they used. I wasn't part of it.
Right.
Regan sits on that portfolio.
Okay.
But you know, she had won it, and you know, congratulations, you know, to her. And
one of the positive things.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's so much issues around media in this community, regardless of where it is. You know, we say that
we're a hotbed of media, as they say.
There's so much media. Is that, you know, there is competition regardless of how you look at it. You know, whether it is for stories or whether it is for who's going to do this or who's covering this, what are they doing, Even though we don't spend a lot of time on it, we're aware of what other people are doing.
Right.
You know, and you have to be.
Well, this was actually, you touched on it, but it actually made the outside media. There was a story this week
And the Globe and Mail,
about how
isn't it?
media-rich, Kahnawake is.
Comparatively
radio
speaking,
stations,
to the size of the community,
8,000.
we have like all these outlets, and we're literally considering us like a media hotbed.
Yeah, they basically
really
said,
cool.
well, as far as like even radio stations, 3 radio stations, there's K103 and there's K-Kick, I think it is, the country one, and then Mohawk Radio, Mohawk Radio, that for the size of the community, 10 times that, a community of 80,000 would be jealous of Kahnawake for that side of it. I don't know what the 3 newspapers, they said it was like 2 news or 3 newspapers, but I don't know
Well, maybe
about
newsletters. We have a lot of
but
newsletters.
the point being is, is there's a media presence here, and I think rightly attributed in large part to, say, the rationale for founding the Eastern Door, which was the fact that as a community we were kind of at the media mercy.
Of all time,
outside for accurate news that was telling our side of the story accurately, and that's how Kenneth started the Eastern Door with that in mind.
Yeah,
and so from that, it's grown.
I think we're also like we're you know, like we're nosy people too.
Well, I keep counting.
No, not like nosy, but we're concerned about our community as a whole.
Well, look at one of the main features of that newspaper was the
Nosy Newsman. Yeah.
Very good.
No, I mean but I mean, which makes it look like well, nosy, not in a bad way, but we actually care about our community members, and we care about the different factions in our community, regardless of whether we agree with them or not.
Anyways, the thing with Jesse was that he was known as somebody who was deeply involved in the community, and he expressed it through involvements in media. And was an inspiration.
And that's what tied him to the story. You know, I mean.
And it's sad, you know, that somebody so young passed, but you know, if he left a footprint,
right?
Definitely. And if you're going to be remembered, it's nice to be remembered through a scholarship that will continue
promoting something positive.
Promoting other.
And if nothing else, all the media that are involved in the scholarship, for that one thing, you know, for that one thing at least, are one mind. You know, when it comes to that. So that's
because he worked for everybody.
Yeah, so that's one of the good things. Prior to that, you know, the media talks and different, but you know, it's sort of like you do what you do. But for this, they came together, which was a positive thing, and you know, and it turned out good.
Okay. Going on to looking a little, like we talked about the drama, what was going on there. They're still in development there, but also there was other like performing arts things that were positive that happened this year, and one of them was Guaharani Jacobs. right? Who sang the national anthem several times now, from what I understand, at the
she's become a
Boston
regular.
Gardens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they love her. They love her
Yeah.
in Boston.
And
I mean,
so do we
the girls,
do.
the girls' talent is amazing.
I know she's
Which
she's
is
so
which
good.
spins off into the other thing, which was the step-by-step program with
Right,
the
at that
McGill
church.
Chamber Orchestra. They did a performance at the
iMusiki?
St. Francis.
iMusiki?
Yeah, it was they combined traditional singing with the chamber orchestra.
With
There was a couple of solo performances. One by Guaharani, which, by the way, I had seen her on YouTube, and I was impressed.
Yeah.
But you know, it's YouTube. It's like whatever's coming through the speakers.
Right.
But to be sitting in that acoustically in that environment and to see the size of her and the
Right.
amount of air flowing through those
know.
pipes.
I
I mean,
know.
it just right now got a little
I know,
chills.
my-
I
She
know.
had people on the verge of tears
Yeah.
and tears
Yeah.
in that audience. It wasn't just family either.
Yeah. When I first heard her at one of the Bruins alumni games for the first time, I was like, man, this girl can sing. Holy, she's going
Incredible.
somewhere. Yeah, she
and of
was.
course, I mean, her aunt is.
You wouldn't think that
dying.
such a little girl would come out and have such an old voice.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
has
it's
an old
powerful.
soul.
It's
Yeah,
powerful.
she's-
She
she
has
went
a
right through it.
future.
Definitely.
As a musical entity.
I had seen her at the we had the youth center had the calendar presentations, role model calendar presentations last year, and she was one of the recipients
Yeah, yeah.
as a role model in our community, and she actually sang one of the songs, and that was actually I think the first time I had heard her live. I had seen her on tape a couple of times when I heard her live, and I was just like blown away. This girl's got so much talent.
Yeah, she does.
All right, and so speaking of that as well, that ties into the Youth Center's Winter Carnival, one of the successful community events.
Yeah.
Kind of like a newsmaker, but
Yes.
also more human interest.
And it's up and coming.
Yeah, of course, that's coming up in February, as usual, with a big list of things to do for the community, from everywhere from the kids right to the adults. Polar Bear Plunge, are you going to do it this year?
No.
Come on.
I'll have a heart attack.
I did it twice. And that was enough.
I did it a couple of times
Yeah.
too.
No, I know he did it. Davey does it all the time.
I was a
Sandy
little
does
I was
it,
a little
yeah.
thinner then.
But there's just going to be a lot of stuff going on. So moving on from there, maybe looking at more of the news that came up over the summer was the Tiffany Morrison.
Yeah, you know.
That was really sad
You know, she went from missing,
for a long time.
you know, for a few years, and then she was found,
Yeah.
you know, in an area where they never suspected that, you know, where her body was actually
Her
found.
remains
Her remains were actually
were
found. You know,
discovered.
so they were looking other places from the information that they received, but they never got that. And one of the workers from the bridge, actually they were doing work there, and he came across bones and he found it. We're still waiting. I guess they had done an autopsy and everything. They already laid her to rest. You know, they had a funeral for her. You know, a few months back. And,
Right.
And
And that was also one of the things that came up this at around the same time, or in or around the same time, and the subject was that the issue of Native women going missing right across Canada and not being.
I just read a story today, and it was, I don't know if you've ever heard of the story about Anna May Aquash. This was in the news. There's a young woman back in the 70s,
Yes.
had wounded knee. She was killed execution style. They found her, and it was always put off to whatever. So 35 years, her daughters have been waiting for some justice. There was a conviction of a man from the United States, and finally there was an extradition. There was a guy, John Boyd Graham from British Columbia, who was extradited to the United States, and that was that. It took that long for it to get justice, but there was still, you know, that thing about Native women. and how those things get covered up. You know what? I would personally just say this is maybe I don't know if this is controversial. I don't, but you know, there's the investigation that's going on. The family's a little maybe this much closer to resolution in terms of finally knowing, at least knowing where her remains are now. But the person or persons involved, they know who they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, the fact that this was so close to where people lived and went by every day, whether it was on bicycle or whatever, those people who know are living with that day in, day out. And you know what? I would never want that. You know, my appeal to them is to, for your own conscience sake, is to come forward and move on, you know, give this family and give yourselves, you know, some rest on it.
Yeah.
You know, and if somebody, we don't know that yet, but if somebody actually murdered her, we have a murderer or murderers running around in this community if it's somebody from this community.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind too.
You know, and just the whole like you said, that there was some closure brought to the family of Tiffany, but at the same time, there's still a lot of unanswered questions and unsettled.
And what you know, and with that, you know, we had another, you know, death. It wasn't last year, but you know, last year somebody was convicted, you know, for the
Tyler.
Tyler Glasgow.
Yeah.
You know, they.
Unfortunate set of circumstances. Make the wrong decision, do the wrong thing at the wrong time, and everybody's life is turned upside down.
You know, I was talking to somebody in that area where it happened, and not long ago, maybe within the last 2 or 3 months, it happened again. Not nobody got killed, but the Roussillon police, who were initially in the chase, had chased somebody else through there.
After the event?
This is a few months ago.
Just
Somebody
recently.
had told me that they were there, and Roussillon police were down there again. So that's something that
Those are
you know,
issues. That's an issue. That's an ongoing thing. Jurisdiction and.
Well, also,
policing
it is
and-
jurisdiction, it's all that stuff, but it's also
Safety and-
us asking ourselves, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what? I
But
mean,
then there's the personal.
yeah.
personal
No, I mean, you know what?
responsibility?
If you know what, if you're doing something, you know, whatever, stop, for crying out loud. How bad can it be?
So let's stop at this point,
Yeah. Okay.
and we're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after these messages.